Guys, welcome back to our Spec home here in Oakland County. Really excited because we're doing drywall today. We're talking about all the things, a couple tips, things you need to look at when you're getting drywall done at your house. Really excited. This is a big step because this means that we're going to start getting into fixtures and finishes before you know it. Doing all our final layouts now that we have final wall dimensions. So I want to show you a couple tips today about drywall, what to look for when you guys put in drywall, whether you're doing it yourself or if you're getting a home built for you. You want to know these items so that you set yourself up for success. So number one thing is behind drywall, you have to make sure you have everything roughed in. So a couple things we're going to talk about is in the bathrooms for different items that you're going to mount. But in the living room and any main areas, you want to make sure all your outlets are in and make sure all your ceiling fixtures are in. So we have rough in cans here. So these can lights were put up in our living room before everything was squared out, everything was make sure that it's shining in the right area. And then what that allows the guys to do is when they come in here with their big sheets of drywall that could be 10 or 12 feet, they can put their drywall up and they come in and zip out the areas where the rough in fixtures are. This is actually a device, kind of looks like a drill, but it's high speed. You put it in the drywall and it cuts right around using the trim of the fixture as a guide. So the one thing that I recommend is take photos of every area right before drywall. Because these guys are great at what they do with drywall, but they're working fast and occasionally they can miss an item like a light switch or a light in the ceiling. And you want to have a photo so you can go through after, compare every item, every wall, and say, oh, nothing was missed, we don't need to cut anything out. That way it's caught before the drywallers get in. We're here in the master bathroom. Now another great thing about drywalling and what you need to tell your drywallers is what to drywall and what not to drywall. So for example, here we're going to have concrete board. So this concrete board has cement and other binders like fiberglass in it, and that's waterproof, and that's what our tile is going to go on. So you definitely want to tell your drywallers not to put drywall in these areas, and what I like to do is usually put out a piece of trim and mark right on the studs. That way they know. So it's going to save you a little bit of money, a lot of material, and just the headache. You never want to come in and have to take drywall after, where you could have a chance of cracking drywall. So you always want to reduce that. Another big thing in the bathrooms is putting on blocking for fixtures. We actually put 2x4s and 2x6s in a large area for anything you might need to hang later on the wall. Otherwise, if you don't have wood behind your drywall when you go to hang your towel rack, your toilet paper holder, you're going to be using these flimsy little anchors. They're hard to work with and they generally don't last a long time. So we actually came in here and you can see behind this wall we have the blocking right there, and it gives us a good height, a good 12 inches of range where we can put our fixtures afterwards. And they're going to be able to screw right in with wood screws. It's going to be incredibly strong, long lasting, and one less thing you got to worry about later on. For those of you who stayed to this point in the video, I'll tell you a little bit more about the anatomy of drywalling. So drywalling, of course, you have your main sheet. Now this is usually either a 1/2 inch or a 5/8 inch thick. Now this depends if you're on the walls, typically 1/2 inch, and then typically ceilings are going to be 5/8 because you want those to have no chance of bowing. The big thing that we want here is a perfectly flat finish when we're done. And this really speaks to the skill of our drywallers. They come in here, they're going to look at the studs, make sure there's nothing that's protruding out. If there is, they can kick it back a little bit or shim it out depending on what type of bow they're seeing in the wall. But once they put their sheet on, guys, they're going to first start by screwing in about every foot to 16 inches. So typically you have 4 screws up and down on the drywall and then all around the edges. And then they're gonna come in here with a couple coats of plaster over it. So you got your first coat that goes over every seam and then you put a tape on. Now that tape's gonna stop any movement between the two pieces so you don't get any cracking. And then they're gonna come on, do their second coat. Now that's gonna be probably a 10 or 12 inch. It's gonna skim the entire way and create a flat surface between these two sheets. And then third, we're going to come in, do a final sanding and see if there's anything more that's needed. And if you're really at a high-end home, custom home, you might do what's called a level 5 finish. Now a level 5 finish is not standard because it is a premium finish, but just to give you an example, that's going to be the entire wall coated with mud every surface, which here you see we do have uncoated surfaces. So on a really custom home, I'd consider the level 5 finish. On this home, we're gonna stick with standard. It's still gonna be good because we got nice straight walls here and thick drywall, so we don't have any concerns. Talking about corners, this pillar is a great option to talk about. So we got a lot of things here. We have a 90-degree outside corner, and then we have an inside corner, and this one is not 90 like a standard room. So on the inside corner, we have a tape. This is actually like a plastic base tape that's very strong and has spots here for the mud to really stick to. And this will allow them to make a nice straight angle where it's gonna bend right in here. They can put mud on the inside and outside and get that angle perfect inside. Now outside corner, we actually have metal here. So this metal is gonna create a nice, slightly rounded shape because that metal has that shape in it. And then same thing, they're gonna go and put their mud on the inside and outside to hold that on and to create a straight level from each corner, outside in. So metal's great because it's strong. I wouldn't skimp on that. I wouldn't go with a paper tape on the outside corner because those are just the places where it can get a little nick and bump and they're gonna be so visible because you'll see them looking at a straight line corner. Other options that I've seen in some of the houses we've done is a curved corner. This was really popular probably about 2010, a little bit after. We still do it here and there if someone has that special look, but you can get these cool plastic corner beads that might have like a 3/4 or 1 inch radius on them. Really cool feature if you're doing a custom house. I'd recommend looking into it at least because the options are limitless. Behind me here, you'll see one more type of rough-in that we talked about earlier. So these are trims for our return air ducts. These are just plastic trim. They don't need to be, too strong or anything. The cover is gonna go on after, and that's gonna be the perfect size for our return air duct grill. So it's important to put those on. It tells the drywallers where to cut out and it tells them the size. That way they don't need to do any measuring in the field. They don't need to remember things that are written on the walls. So that's all gonna be hidden behind us. So it doesn't need to look pretty right now. There's gonna be some really nice grills that go over there. But that's what we talked about, that we're using the drywall, the cavities between the 2x4 and the drywall as the actual duct that returns the air to the furnace. I also love the way this fireplace is taking shape behind us. You can see we have our gas insert here, fully installed, just waiting to be hooked up to gas. And this big backdrop here is gonna allow us to do a lot of different things. If this was a custom home, we could put brick on here, faux brick, that could go up the whole way, or a nice natural stone. Or in this case, we might just build a big hearth and have a place for a TV right above here, where it's still gonna be a good focal point, but it's gonna save us a little bit on construction costs since this is a spec home. So this real gas fireplace is gonna bring a ton of heat into the home. I'd recommend it for any northern climate. I think it adds a lot of value, and it's something you don't see in every home these days. That's why we love it. We're here in the kitchen, and you can really see how it's taken shape. I'm so excited about this space. We have this huge entryway that goes between our kitchen and our 2-story living room. I think it's going to be a fantastic value add. Great time to spend family, great place for kids to play in the living room. And then in the kitchen, you have tons of space for guests and entertaining. Because as you guys know, people love hanging out in the kitchen. It's a natural, comfortable place for people to gather. You're on food and snacks during parties or families. It's just a great place to work and sit. That's why we left this so big. And remember, we have that big LVL in here. Big beam, that's what allows us to get these big openings so that the space doesn't feel enclosed. So let me know what you guys think about these big openings and the open concept. Do you think this style will stay? Or do you think it's something that might be changing and getting a little smaller going forward with future construction? Leave a comment down below. So guys, if you wouldn't mind, like this video, click the subscribe button, and turn on notifications for everything coming to this spec house, as you'll see over the next couple of months until we make this thing a perfect home for any family to walk into.